Thank you so much for joining me today for this edition of Success Talk. So, I want you to introduce yourself just with your name, like your role, and what it is that you do.
Okay, so my name is Aajah Harris. I am the Chief of Staff for Maryland State Delegate, Delegate Malcolm Ruff. He represents um, parts of Baltimore City, like Park Heights, that type of area. I'm also an adjunct professor at Montgomery College. I teach Intro to Sociology and Intro to Criminal Justice. And I'm also a PhD student in the first cohort of Applied Sociology and Social Justice at Morgan State University. Period.
The girls are eating it up, okay? Like it's always the ands, and ands for me, okay? So basically, like you're lit, okay? So thank you so much, like I said, for doing this. We're going to just hop straight into the questions. So, these talks are basically geared towards like inner city youth and people who look like you and I, to give them a different view of what success looks like, right? It doesn't have to be the BBL, the bust down, and all of these things like athletes. There are a plethora of people who look like you and I who are successful in other ways. And so
Mhm.
that is the purpose of these type of talks. So the first question that I have is, growing up in inner city Baltimore, what unique challenges did you face and how did they shape your perception of success?
Okay, so I lived in Baltimore City up until I was 4, but I went to
Okay.
Baltimore City schools all the way until ninth grade.
Okay.
So my experience is a little bit different in terms of living there, but I did go to school in Baltimore City for quite some time.
Hmm.
And um, in terms of obstacles, I think that there are benefits to living in an inner city,
Hmm.
that or being amongst the people in the inner city that um some folks just don't have that experience. So when it
Yes.
comes to obstacles, some people who haven't lived there might look at them as obstacles, but you also may look at them as things that push you to move forward. So if you see your peers may not just have like the general things, general resources that maybe you might find general, it pushes you to make sure that maybe you always have that, or it might push you to want to help those people. So it kind of encourages you and inspires you to like move beyond what's at your front door. So
Yeah.
yes, there were obstacles. I mean, I had family members who had different situations that was going on with them and they lived in the city. But it if anything, it inspired me to maybe not be in those predicaments. And it
Mhm.
also forced me to put myself in positions where I could help them.
Absolutely. Thank you. Great answer. Number two is, how do you personally define success? Has that definition evolved over time? And how has that definition been influenced by your culture, belief system, professional experiences, and backgrounds of being in a myriad of places like Baltimore City and wherever else you've lived?
Okay. So my definition of success has changed quite a bit. When I was younger, I went to a pretty small school and everybody was smart. It seemed like everybody was smart. And I thought that if you could answer questions quickly, if you could get 100% on everything, you were going to be successful. But
Mhm.
when I got a little bit older, I saw that being a whole person and like adding things to your, I guess, your chest of things is what
Yes.
made you more successful than just being book smart. So
Yes.
yes, being book smart is good and it definitely helps you. It helps you make it far, especially depending upon the career that you decide to choose. But
Mhm.
it's not everything.
Right.
You need to add other things too. You need to have personality. You need to,
Yes.
have hobbies and things like that. So when I got a little bit older, um, I did a lot more things, which to be honest, I did those things when I was younger too, but I didn't really think of them as being important to my success at the time.
Okay.
Um, so, being a part of organizations, being a part of organized sports, that really broadened my horizon in terms of just like building my personality because I was a really shy person. But being in organized sports, I played basketball. I was mingling with the hoopers. So I got a little bit more pizzazz to me. So it definitely did change. I think the culture puts a damper on what success could possibly be.
Mm,
Because it's very, especially in this influencer world, it's
yes.
very easy to beat your face on camera, which I do sometimes, or do get ready with me's and stuff like that. And those people are really successful. But
Mm-hmm.
the tangible success, like going to school or getting certificates in this particular trade or whatever, like that, it doesn't look as successful as
Right.
these other
Absolutely.
jobs, occupations, hobbies, things like that.
Absolutely.
So I definitely think that the culture does put a damper on it. But I will say that those things could be add-ons. Like for instance, I'm going off on a tangent, but for instance,
You're fine. You're fine.
with the whole TikTok thing about to be banned and all that, there's people that are literally like freaking out because this is
Yeah,
all they have. And
exactly.
they decided to not further their education, or they decided to now put themselves in positions where if something like this was to happen, which it seems like
Right.
it's going to happen, that you'll
Yeah.
be SOL. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Now, this is like not on here, but based off of something you just said, do
Mhm.
you think, because girl, people are saying like college is a scam, don't go to college, don't do all of these things like this.
Mhm.
Obviously, that's not what I think. That isn't what you're a PhD student. I'm a med, like, girl. So, what's your take on that? Like, do you think that college is a scam, or do you think like it's just not as valued in today's society as it once was, like, years ago?
Mm. So it's so interesting. One of my classes, so I teach two sections of intro sociology, and I get them mixed up. The students in the class, I get them mixed up all the time. Well, one of my students was asking me about that question in particular, and kind of saying how, asking me, do I think that the value of education is depleting because more Black people are getting educated? And I agree to an extent.
Okay.
I think that there are a lot of people that are really successful
Mm-hmm.
without the letters behind their name. So it's like it's
Okay.
making it, you don't need it.
Mm-hmm.
But I do believe that, whatever is gonna kind of like throw dirt on a specific group of people's
Mm-hmm.
success is gonna happen.
Right.
And of course no one's gonna say that out loud, but that's
Mm-hmm.
gonna be the thing. Because at first it was like get a bachelor's degree. Then it's like,
Right.
oh no, get a master's degree. Then it's like,
Exactly.
actually get a PhD. And then there's people getting like multiple PhDs. I have a few
Yeah.
classmates that's getting multiple doctorates. So it's just like, when is it gonna be like, okay, you made it
Exactly.
here?
It's
Like,
enough.
right. But to answer your question about like, is college a scam? Yes and no. So like,
Mm-hmm.
this is my third school. Well, not my third school. Well, my third degree. I went to the same school for my bachelor's and master's, but I think it's not a scam because it definitely builds character. Like being in a classroom, being on a college campus builds your character. It builds character. When I was 18 and I stepped foot on UMES's campus, to UMES, I was a kid and I was like I was naive, which some people may say I'm still naive, but I was naive and I was very like not interested in I guess not interested in stepping up. So I
Mm-hmm.
went to a predominantly white high school. So when I went to HBC, it was like
A culture
all these
shock.
things to join, and it's like,
Yeah.
oh, join this, oh, do this, oh, and it's like, what's going on? So when I got to like my sophomore year of college, I was like, I'm joining everything, put my
Right.
name down for everything. So it made me almost include myself in this sense of community also, that
Right.
you can't get anywhere else if you decide not to go to college.
Yeah.
It's just those things like that. But I do think it's a scam because they advertise college as something that is only for a certain group of people to get, or certain people to go. And I think that's so interesting. I've witnessed and seen so many young people say like, I want to go to college, I want to do that, I want to be, in a dorm and stuff like that, but I can't afford it. And I'm like, it's it's expensive, don't get me wrong, it's
Mm-hmm.
definitely expensive. However, there are so many resources to
Yeah.
get you to that point. Like if you really really truly want to go, you can.
Yeah.
And you don't have to pay anything if you really put effort into not trying to pay for anything. But I think
Yeah.
it's a scam definitely because they be giving 18-year-olds $50,000 and thinking when we 24, we know what we doing.
Girl.
But
Girl.
that's probably the scammy part about it, for real, for real. The loan thing is a scam. It's definitely a scam. But
Definitely.
yes.
Okay, so next question is, can you share a pivotal moment or experience in your journey that significantly shaped your definition of success?
Oh, yes. So I'm just gonna be telling my whole life. Okay. When I was 12 years old, I had spinal fusion surgery. So basically, what that was is I had scoliosis. I got
Oh,
diagnosed with scoliosis when I was 10-ish or 11. I think I was 10.
okay.
And basically, it's a curve in your spine.
Hmm.
As you get older, as you grow and like get taller and stuff like that, the curve can keep going the same direction wherever it's going. So it can be most spines are going straight up and down, but if you have scoliosis, it could be keep going this way or that way or whatever the case is. So when I was 12 years old, I was in the sixth grade. I was going on 12. Yes, I was going on 12 in the sixth grade. My orthopedic surgeon told me, sis, you're gonna have to have spinal fusion surgery. And I was devastated because in my mind, I thought I was gonna be a WNBA player. That's what I thought was gonna happen. That was my dream. So I'm like, oh no, like what are you talking about? Like, and then they kind of told me I had to stop playing basketball for a while.
Oh,
So yes, I had spinal fusion surgery. That changed my whole trajectory of what success was because I'm like, I was perfect at everything. If I
mhm.
go, I went to practice. They used to call me money because I used to make every shot. Like I was just like the bomb. So then like with that happen, it was like success is not just one particular thing. And it's
Right.
not just and sometimes you can change what your success is. I think some people think that they're not successful anymore because the thing that they put their mind to 25/8 fell through.
Yeah.
No, when you figure out what's your next best thing or something that you didn't even realize was the best thing,
Yeah.
that's still success. So I was 12 years old. I was devastated. I didn't play basketball again until I was 15.
Oh no.
And it was another culture shock because when I started playing again, everybody was playing a lot faster, everybody was a lot bigger. I'm like, oh, what's going on? But um that was my moment when I was like, oh, okay, so this WNBA thing, I could be a spectator. It's cool. It's fine.
Thank you. Uh, all right. So you kind of briefly touched on this. So if you want to like share a different example, you can, or we can just like move on. What obstacles or challenges did you encounter on your path to success, and how did you overcome them?
Okay. I can give another example.
Okay.
So I was in an international baccalaureate program in my high school. I was
Okay.
a magnet student. And again, like I said, I went to a predominantly white high school.
Hmm.
And there's something that happens with Black scholars when they go to predominantly white high schools, institutions, whatever, where their instructor or teacher doesn't value their work.
Girls, girl, girl.
And I I had horrible grades when I was in like not horrible, like I wasn't failing. But because I was a magnet student, everybody else was super like getting like A's, like back to back. I was
Right.
that BC student and it crushed my spirit. Like it was just like maybe because I transferred this. I was like, maybe I shouldn't have transferred. I was doing so much better when I went to my last school, things
Hmm.
like that. But then when I went to college, I was like, still in that mindset of like, I'm not that great of a writer or things
Hmm.
like that. And then I got my first paper bag and it was like 100%. I'm like, no, wait a minute. What just happened? What's going on? And then it was just boom, 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 boom. And like currently, I have a 4.0. And I'm like, my high school self would have been croaking, gagging on the floor. Like, what you mean I have a 4.0? So that was like my obstacle because I really didn't like, even when I graduated from high school, I didn't know anybody at that high school really besides my basketball teammates and the people that was in IB with me.
Hmm.
And I didn't care to join organizations because I didn't think I was even smart enough to join anything. But when I went to college, it was like a whole new thing. I joined
Yeah.
a sorority, I was in honor societies, I started an organization, like
Right.
so many things.
doing your thing, okay? Um, so can you discuss a time when you had to take a risk or step out of your comfort zone to achieve your goals, and how did it turn out?
So, um, yes, my junior year of college, okay. So this is going to sound crazy, and I just mentioned this to my coworkers. So I always wanted to be in politics, in governance
Hmm.
from sophomore year of college.
Okay.
And the reasoning behind it's changed since then. So nobody, shoot me down for saying this. But at the time, I wanted to join SGA because I was nosy. I feel like everybody knew all the information that was in SGA. They knew all the tea. And I was like, you know what? I want to know what's going on too. So I'm about to join SGA. But okay, so back up. My junior year, I decided I was going to run for SGA president.
Okay.
That was insane. Absolutely insane. That was like one of the bigger risks that I took while I was in college because I never was a president of anything,
Okay.
no organization. And I know that was like a big thing. Like, oh my gosh, she never was a president. Blah, blah, blah. And then the year prior, that was my first year ever being in SGA. So they're like, you don't even have the SGA like resume, like blah, blah, blah.
Oh
And
my
the
gosh.
people that I ran against, they definitely, when they was doing their little videos, they was definitely eating me up with that. But I ran for SGA president, and I stood on being who I am. Like
Right.
I'm me. Like when I started college, like I said, I was a kid, but I was at the parties. I was
Right.
trying to figure out what the moves were. I wasn't trying to present myself to the student body like I was perfect.
Right.
So
Right.
that's what
Right.
won me the seat. And to be honest, I mean, I ended up being the SGA president 2018, 2019. I had a blast. It was such a great time. I think I got a lot done, a lot accomplished.
Definitely.
But that was a huge risk. Like I had to change from being not really, but they wanted me to change from being, it wasn't a term then, but they wanted me to change from being outside to being inside. And I wasn't doing that. Like I wanted to show them that I'm at the pajama parties too. I had on my little
Right.
onesie, my little footy pajamas with y'all. I'm at the block parties. Shoot, when I was, I'm gonna say this, one of the parties I got pepper sprayed. Like I was in the
Oh,
mix with them. So, it was a risk because I was like, do I have to change to be this real presidential person? But at the same
right.
time, it was like, I'm still gonna be me. And I think that's what they respected and they liked. So
Absolutely. I totally agree. Now, okay, girl, we both know how Baltimore is, okay? And so for people who are not used to the city, first and
mhm.
foremost, would you agree with the fact that there are two Baltimores inside of
Yes.
one? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, girl. Now, Baltimore is often portrayed in a negative light in the media.
Mhm.
How have you overcome any negative stereotypes or perceptions associated with your hometown on your path to success?
Mm.
Because, girl,
That's
you
a
know, on college campuses, someone say, "Oh, you're from Baltimore," they think about what? The Wire. Like, girl,
the wire or the riots. And I'm like,
yes,
it's called an uprising. Come on,
yes,
change the words.
what accidents? Okay,
But yes, so when I was in college, I used to always be a thing. Because I was a criminal justice major. So like anything and every reason to give an example for crime, they were like, oh yes, because in Baltimore. And it's like, well, wait a minute. It's other cities out here that's doing that too. Like, don't do that.
exactly.
Um, but recently it's so interesting. So like now I don't live in Baltimore anymore. I live in Prince George's County. I used to work for a delegate who represents Prince George's County.
Mhm.
And in that space, they never said anything negative about Baltimore, but you can tell that there was a aura about them that's like, we better than them.
Mhm.
And this year was my first year working for a Baltimore City delegate. And I had not a culture shock. It was a culture shock, I'm not gonna lie, because I was working for the Prince George's County delegate for a couple of years and they had their own accents going on.
Okay.
And then when I went back to Baltimore City, I'm like, oh, I recognize that accent. That's what I
Yes.
know. But it was like we was getting work done. Like we're getting work done. We have things we need to address. We are not playing around. And granted, they weren't playing around either, but it was like, I'm going to show you that we're not playing around. And
Right.
I'm going to present myself like, yes, we're getting this work done. Now, we still going to have fun. And that's one thing about a Baltimorean. I don't care what nobody say. We live. I'm sorry.
Okay.
And that's
Yeah,
just, it is what it is. But we're gonna have
exactly.
fun and we still gonna get the work done. Like if we're gonna judge somebody by, if you're judging a coworker or judging a job, judge it by the job.
Right.
When we having fun, we having fun. And
Exactly.
the fact that you can do both is a plus.
Okay.
So that's what I try to do, especially at work, because I work in a place where there's all these different people from all different parts of Maryland. And
Mhm.
the easiest thing to do is to target Baltimore. But
Right.
it's so nice when you see these delegates being like, oh, wait a minute, we're not
That's
going to
right.
do that about Baltimore. And it's like, yeah, because what's up?
Okay.
So, right.
Don't play with
Yeah.
us. What role has mentorship played in your journey, and how do you believe it contributes to success?
Hmm, that's so interesting. So, mentorship.
Yeah.
To be honest,
Mm-hmm.
okay, and the reason why I'm going to say this is because I'm a mentor. I've had mentees, and some of them moved on to other things. So we just kind of like, not separated, but my mentorship is not useful anymore because they're not in that field anymore.
Right.
But when it comes to like someone mentoring me, I don't think I've ever had someone mentoring me.
Okay.
If anything, I've had people in my corner that were inspiring me or people that were cheering me on. But in
Mm-hmm.
terms of mentorship, because I'm trying to think, in terms of what I'm doing currently,
Mm-hmm.
like my main job,
Yeah.
there's no one in my family or anything that does this.
Okay.
So it's like I'm kind of learning how to do this on my, like, for the first time.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of teaching, though, my mom's a professor at Morgan. So so she's mentored me in terms of like being a good professor, and also telling these deans and these chairs like, well, wait a minute, I'm the one teaching this class. Okay. But yeah, in terms of mentorship, in terms like for my career goals,
Mm-hmm.
I guess I would say the delegates that I'm amongst and the senators that I'm amongst every day, they could be mentors in some sense, but
Okay.
nobody that I've said that's my mentor. Now that's
Right.
that's something I should probably look into, trying to get a mentor, because I've had plenty of mentees and that was, what it was. But yeah, that's you making me think. So I'm gonna look into that.
Okay. So that's this next question. It's kind of like a derivative of the first one.
Mhm.
Who or what has been your biggest source of inspiration in your pursuit to success, and why?
Okay, so my biggest source of inspiration would have to be my grandparents,
Okay.
on all my grandparents. So I have my grandmother and my pop, who is my grandmother's husband. And then I have my grandfather and my Mama Luella, who is my grandfather's wife. And then I
Okay.
have my grandmother who passed away 2 years ago. And then my grandfather who passed away when I was like 4 or something like that. But they're my inspiration because they're the lives that they've lived. I think that they wanted was for their generations after them to be successful.
Right.
So if I can do anything to just make them proud, here or not here, that's
Yeah.
what inspires me.
That's
So like my grandmother and my grandfather, they're both not American. So my grandmother's from Jamaica, my grandfather's from the Bahamas. So what they grew up seeing is much different than what I grew up seeing. But
right.
I know that the opportunities are endless where I'm at. So I'm just want to make them proud. Now my grandmother lives in America now, but my grandfather doesn't.
Okay.
And then my my dad's parents, they both passed away, but I know that, and they're both from Baltimore. So I know that they may have saw similar things because we were within the same state,
Yeah.
ideally, but I think all they really wanted was for us to make them proud. And whatever that looked like is inspiring to me. So if I'm doing something I feel like I'm slacking, I'm like, I gotta like build an estate, because like that's what they will want. So that's really like my biggest inspiration, is to just try to make them proud, whatever that may look like.
Absolutely. That's a great answer. Um, okay. How do you maintain a balance between personal growth and professional success in your life?
Okay. So being back in school definitely helps with my personal growth. Because I'm a very I don't know what the word is. I don't know what the word is, but I know that when I'm not focused on something, I could just sleep all day.
Hmm.
So being back in school kind of rewired my brain into being in school again. And like at 11:59 every day, I like panic a little bit, like, oh, wait a minute, something here. And I'm like, okay, no, that's fine. So, but when that break that I wasn't in school, that was like 2 years, I was
Hmm.
just like, oh, nothing's due. I'll worry about life tomorrow at 9 o'clock when I go to work. Like, so being back in school helps with my personal growth. It keeps me like upbeat, keeps me
Definitely.
kind of sharp, things like that. And then with my professional growth, just being around people, networking is like my biggest thing. And one thing that I talked about, I was on a panel talking to some undergraduate students about networking. And something I learned when I was an undergraduate student is don't try to just network with the CEOs and the presidents and everything. Network with the people that's around you too, because in the
Absolutely.
next 5 years, they're probably going to be the president. So you need to make sure that
Absolutely.
cool with them too. So just being a really good networker, being me at the end of the day, smiling, laughing, cracking
Absolutely.
jokes, just doing that.
Absolutely. Um, can you share a specific strategy or habit that has been instrumental in your ongoing success?
Now, I'm not gonna lie, I hate to bring this up because people be like, oh my God, girl, but I'm a Capricorn. And
Period.
Capricorns are really good at procrastinating. I'm not gonna lie. Really,
Girl,
really
all
good
earth
at it.
signs, girl. We're all in the same boat, girl. No.
It's like, oh, okay. It comes out beautifully. So it's like, when it comes to strategy, it's like strategy who? I'm just gonna get it done. Someone asked me the other day, how do you study? I don't. I don't study. Study to me is trying to memorize something. I want to learn it. I want it
Right.
to be a part of like who I am. So I don't
Definitely.
study. I just don't. If I don't know it, I don't know it. I need to figure out how to know it. just. But
Exactly.
yeah, strategy. I'm not good at that.
I understand, girl. I'm a Taurus girl. I will wait till the last moment. Okay.
It's like the adrenaline rush.
Yes, exactly. Like the burst of energy. Then you get it finished. Okay.
Right. Right.
Okay. So this is our last question.
Okay.
Looking back at your journey so far, what advice would you give other young Black professionals aspiring to achieve success in their fields?
Okay. So first I would say start saving money in kindergarten. Because it's expensive out here.
No, seriously,
But
girl.
I would say, I would say, you don't have to have it all figured out. The thing about college being a scam that I would add to being a scam is why are we asking 18-year-olds to figure out something for the rest of their lives? Like
Right,
pick a major that's going to be affecting them for the rest of their lives. We don't know.
right.
We just don't know. I lucked up by being that I love what I got my degree in, and it's
Mhm.
something that I'm fairly good at, and it's something I'm kind of raised around also.
Yeah.
But there's some folks, I mean, some people might pick what's easy, some people might pick because it sounds cool. So,
Hmm.
so that's something that I would definitely say, like, you don't have to have it all figured out, but figure it out
Right.
eventually.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
then also expose yourself to everything. Give
Absolutely.
yourself a chance to figure that out. So if you may have thought, so I have like my best friend, shout out to my best friend. If you see this, shout out to you. When we were in high school, she wanted to be a lawyer. And I'm happy that she's in something that she loves now, which is that's not that. So she eventually got her bachelor's in business, and now she's in an MBA program at Morgan. Shout out to Morgan again. And
Out to my
I think
school.
that I'm from what I can see, she loves that. And
Okay.
she exposed herself to more things after she realized, like, maybe law is not for me. Like she probably
Mm.
figured that out around 11th grade. Like, actually, I remember the exact time she figured it out, but that's a whole nother story for another day. Um, but it's just expose yourself to other things. Try to see what you don't like. If you like basketball and you really like basketball, try volleyball. You might
Hmm.
be really, really good at volleyball. And that's just like a little brief example. Or
Yeah.
like for me, I got two criminal justice degrees, but my PhD is in sociology. Well, my PhD program is in sociology. So it's like, I like sociology so far. I had to learn it pretty quickly to be like upbeat with the rest of the cohort, but you know, I like it. It's really cool. And I've exposed myself to more things, and I can see how those things play hand in hand. So
Right.
you don't have to know everything. You don't have to try to put all your eggs in one basket. Spread them out.
Right.
Now, when you get closer to like my age, where I'm my age now, or a little bit older, maybe you should have it figured out. Maybe you should,
Yes.
you should try to like, narrow it down. You don't want to be all over the place. When you should probably have a little bit more structure
Yeah.
to your life. But, take it slow.
Take it
Because
slow.
time is going to move real, real fast, but try to take it slow and try to enjoy what's happening around you also. Because when I graduated from college, I was crying on that stage, boo-hoo crying. Everybody was looking at me like I was crazy. I'm like, I can't believe this is over.
What am I going to do now?
Right? I was like, I had so much fun. Like, huh? But, time will move by fast, but try to, take it all in. Take it all in.
Absolutely. Now, is there anything else you would like to add that we didn't go over, or any other advice you would like to give prior to this ending?
Okay. If you are in high school and or college, undergrad, graduate, whatever, please apply for your delegate and senator scholarship, especially if you live in Maryland, because they got money to give. And I don't want to hear nobody saying, oh my God, I didn't know. I'm telling you right now. So, some people's applications close at the end of this month. So that's what, Tuesday. But most of them go out until the middle of the summer. So figure it out, get some money. Cause I hate the excuse I can't afford school. That's why I'm not going. Come on, we can do it together as
Absolutely.
one.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Aja,
Yeah.
for your time and your interview and your bubbly personality, girl, because it gave what it was supposed to have give. Okay. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much, sis. I
No
will see
problem.
you later.
See
Do
you.
you want to shout out your IG or anything like that?
Oh, yes. Okay, so I have multiple Instagrams, but I'm only gonna shout out the one that I use the most. So my main Instagram is all AJ. So all is my initials, AWH, and then it's underscore and then AJ. Now, I'm sorry, I'm gonna keep on talking. My Instagram name is all AJ. Like I said, AWH is my initials, but AJ is in my Instagram name also because when I was in middle school, I had a Chinese teacher who couldn't say Aajah, so he called me AJ. So it just kind of stuck.
Thank you, girl.
Yeah.
I love this interview. I will see you in the next video or the next
Okay.
time.
Okay.
Bye, girl.
See
Thank you.
you.
Bye.